Hi YouTube. How are you doing? I'm doing okay, not too bad. I've got some heavy stuff on my mind today, but I thought I'd roll a few cigarettes and talk to you for a while. Or I'll just have one first, and so if you hear my rolling machine, that'll be the noise you'll be hearing, but depends on how long I talk here. There's a few things in my community that are going to help you connect the bloodlines of the Dark Cabal and where they went. Um, Let me read you. The one is Psyop of Edessa, Prester John, and the Tartars of and the Khans, like not Chaka Khan, but Genghis Khan and that type of ancient um, Meso-European going into uh, Asia, like the deep southern Asia of China and that type of thing. Then I shared, and that's by Archaics. And then there's one by Edrin, or Erdrin rather. It's spelled Eredin. Erdrin. Um, it's about ancient China hides the truth. When God created languages, the Tower of Babel and Nimrod, and the connections that you'll find within those two things. Um, some of us just understand who these people actually are in the different countries that they're working out of and together against the people of the world because they want us to remain their slaves. And that's really the bottom line of it all. But I would recommend listening to those two things. You can make so many connections with the bloodlines of people in your everyday life. You'd be surprised who's who, it's like, wow, the way these people got around, So I was talking to somebody that feels like they're on the edge of death and can barely write and has a lot of deep, dark sorrows in their life, like I have had in the past. And that's what I'd like to talk to people about today, going into this holiday season like we are. It can get really hard if you're separated from people that you love, whether it's like parents or kids or a spouse or whoever, whatever. These times, even maybe missing a deceased parent, or there's something about the holiday season that has a melancholy feel about it for everybody. It's supposed to be such a happy time of year, but what feels off about it that it doesn't feel so happy? And I was thinking about the different ways that I can make myself happy with my mindset to make it through a day. Even the times like if I couldn't walk or I couldn't talk or the different things that I had happen to me in my life, and different little things like the sun shining or looking at a tree or finding the beauty in old architecture of a church or whatever, or a building, and even or something brand new, like the incredibleness of life itself that helped me get through on times where I did not want to live, and I actually took steps to try and end my life. And I am so thankful I didn't do that because I have a feeling I'd never be getting out of this place if I had succeeded. I really feel like that within my heart, like, do I really want to do this again? You know? So I feel like I was blessed and helped along the way in my darkest hours. Some of you may not know, but the minute I asked for help from my ex, they got a good attorney, and this was after over 5 years of my kids not hearing a word from him, and my kids went to live with them, and I just about lost it because I had been their only constant in their life and the only parent that cared to be sober in their life and there every day and hardworking for them. Their only true constant was taken out of their life, and it did end up really messing with them, and I knew it would. But I'm glad that I stuck around because I'm here now if they're in the frame of mind to really see the value in what I'm doing in my life for everybody. I hope that they can really get what I'm trying to do in the world for everybody. You know, I hope that everybody can use your worst days, take your worst days and recall them and how you pulled yourself out of that if you had any help. You may not have, but um, what got you out of that, and how were you able to uplift your spirit so you didn't stay in the humdrums, like the lower vibrational poor me type of mindset, and when we're injured, that makes it doubly as hard, because there's times like, oh, if I couldn't walk or after my stroke or whatever, that type of thing. um I don't know. It I felt like living. It wasn't that I didn't want to live. It's just that the pain was so severe with certain things in my life that or I felt like, I'm alone anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That type of feeling, so I had to find ways to elevate myself out of that humdrum feeling, it's like, and some people don't believe there is a God, but see, it's times like that I knew full well I actually wasn't alone. It just seemed like it. On this planet, it seemed like it because there wasn't anybody I knew that understood. Not even Doug. Even though he was without his daughter, he did not understand what it was like for a mom without her kids. Sure, one was 14, the other one was 11. Not really tiny little people, but just the fact that I felt like through all the hell that they had been through, and I felt like I might have just been getting through to them to calm them down in their lives. And every time I tried to put a calm in their life, it seemed like if it wasn't the Masonic people that raised me, taking me to court and trying to get time around my kids, and I don't even know, they might have talked to my ex when my kids were at that house. I have no clue because I don't trust any of them, and they all really liked each other. That I have a problem with because I don't like any of them. and didn't want any of them around my kids. So even with their dad, supervised visitations is, and any of those people. And if you knew the truth of it, you'd understand what I'm talking about. Some of you probably know some of what I've said on here about um, what my kids and I went through with some of these creatures. I can't really look at them as human beings. Human beings don't act and do the things that these people do. They just don't. Well, I no, they don't. So anyway, I was thinking, is there any words that I could possibly say to somebody that feels like they're dying because of their physical health, and how I pushed myself to pick myself up out of that, going from, well, I exercised most of my life until I had like operations and just one thing right after another, squished by my horse, I mean, just, and couldn't walk, and just crazy, crazy things to try, it seemed like, to try and keep me unhealthy so I wouldn't want to live. I felt like I was under attack. And I could have been. I can't prove it, but how did I pull myself out of that? Well, watching what I eat and exercising really helps. Um, like last night, I had a hamburger, 2 pieces of bread, but I had a Hershey bar, but I don't do that every day. Oh, and some sunflower seeds, you know, but those aren't too unhealthy. People say nut seeds are like not good for you, or nut oil. I think maybe if you pour it all over your food, but I think if it's actually a part of the food, that, or seed oil, I don't know. That's another thing I was going to talk about one of these days, sunflower seeds. I live next to a factory where my friends would make like trail mixes and different things at their work. The farmers would bring in like sunflower and soy beans and different things that they would roast and put with like carob chips and raisins and flakes of coconut and dried pineapple, that type of thing, and make a trail mix. And I had these gallons, big gallons of sunflower seeds and trail mix that my friends would give me. And I never gained any weight eating them. Never, never, ever. And my health was ultimate on a almost a constant diet of sunflower seeds in my life, um, when I was a young mom, you know. So I don't know. I've ate sunflower seeds all my life, and I have some of the strongest muscles a woman could have, um, even if they look bigger or bulkier. I am strong, But I don't think that looks good when they're just like all bulgy and stuff. It's like, well, yeah, a person can work out to look strong, but maybe it's best to be a little more, I don't know, limber or quick, or I don't know. I don't know. I know muscle weighs more than fat, but I don't know. Just thinking out loud. But I do think it looks rather gross when these women look all like buff like a dude, you know. I mean, yeah, I got some muscles, you know, but they're shaped like a woman still, you know. So, but then we got guys wearing dresses pretending to be women, and who knows. I saw, I think it's Eye for an Eye channel, or one of it used to be Call for an Uprising, had a report yesterday that Cosmopolitan magazine, directed at teens, was they had an article on how to for a teenage girl to terminate a pregnancy in a sacrificial manner. Not a joke, you know. A lot of people might think, well, that's, you know, like maybe not true, or how would these kids be able to do things and be connected satanically like that and that type. That this is how, you know, people think that it's some kind of a joke or something. I don't know, but these are real things that go on our planet that I think should be illegal, you know. But how do we stop this type of thing? You and I can't even talk about the Kufan here without all hell being raised about it. But these freaks can publicize anything in their connected magazines for the satanic regime, you know. But talk about something decent and good that's actually going to help other human beings, and wow, you're some kind of a freak, you know. I guess I guess I'm not freak enough to think that I'm half man and half woman inside myself. I guess I'm too personally connected with who I am to understand where they're coming from. So anyway, cheers everybody. Yeah. Tonight's supper's gonna be good. I'm taking I took little baby new potatoes, them golden ones, and I'm gonna slice them up and take leftover hamburger I got and just make a hamburger hash. Oh, I made fresh bread yesterday too, so might have a piece of bread or two with that too. So with ketchup on there, good stuff. Oh, we might have a little bit of an interruption, probably, maybe. Doug's out cutting up some trees, um, and cutting some poles that we're going to use to for building. And we took some of our trees a couple years ago. We had cut down. Well, he did over to a sawmill that the Amish have real close here, and had some boards made out of it. It's kind of nice to be able to build things and use your own lumber, that trees that you actually planted in the ground, watched grow, you could harvest them and make lumber to build something, you know, as you replenish your trees. Well, usually depending on the tree, it'll either have sprouts or seeds depending on what it was. These were pine and poplar. So, and the poplar, they have shoots from their roots and will grow up like that. And pines, all conifers have seeds that drop, and or pine cones, and so they pretty much reseed themselves anyway. is what I'm saying. But yeah, there was nothing here on this property 35 years ago. It was just a cornfield, so to be able to harvest lumber off it is a pretty big deal, you know. I don't know if you've ever been so injured or so sad that you didn't want to live, but I've been around people working in the retirement homes and stuff, and so I've been around a lot of people that felt like that when I was healthy and I was okay, but I would see how they were suffering in ways that I ended up suffering in my life. So the person that I talked to today, I really do understand more than they know, in a big way. Yeah, I guess we're trading our dump truck today for a Volkswagen Jetta, just a beater car. Well, and something else, I think. A truck and a car? I'm not sure. We've got so many deals going on right now, I'm not sure. But I try to listen, you know. All depends. Like today, I'm a little tired because we had a pretty late night. Actually, Doug was working till about, oh, I think 12:30 or about midnight anyway. And then came in and was answering some emails on deals that he's making and doing. And so it was a long day yesterday. Yeah, pretty darn cold out. Well, it's 28 degrees. It could be worse. Good day for cutting wood because you don't want to do that when it's summertime. Even in the fall, it can get pretty hot. And the wood does cut better and split better when it's frozen. If you're not battling all the moisture in the wood when you're trying to process it, turns out better. So, maybe you have some tips. I know I have some people that watch me that have been injured. How do you pull yourself up when you're having just like a rotten day or injuries? Like when you're injured, when you're in pain, like if you're in such pain that there really is no cure for your pain, and then if you have emotional pain on top of that, that's undescribable. So not only are you physically injured, but you're emotionally injured. What a mess. You know, that's hard stuff to live through. It really is. And that's where the physical will become the emotional, especially if you're not aware of it. How those two go hand in hand. If you're not feeling well, you might be up. You know what I mean? Like having a rotten day, you might not even be aware you're in pain and end up acting out of sorts or whatever because of that. Emotional pain's the same way. If you're emotionally unbalanced, it can become physical. It's such a balance, um, but it's real. They do go hand in hand, you know. the sun helps me. The sunshine, even on a cloudy day, but looking at the sky and looking at the trees and or even the moon at night, just different things that are in our world that are so remarkable. Them type of things get me through. That might seem small to other people, but if I can get up in the morning, it's like the other day, the sun was shining and the sky was blue and pink and like layers and just beautiful. Um, those are the type of days that there it something like that is a constant reminder to me, like a miracle, you know. So sometimes God sends us signs and we don't realize that we actually got our prayers answered. Um, Hopefully, I haven't done that, but it does happen. You know, I'll roll a few more smokes and talk to you for a while here. But yeah, I try not to be an ungrateful sot, you know, and know that for some odd reason, this is supposed to be a gift of life. I think it's the gift and the ability to learn what we need to know so we can stand before our Father with pride instead of shame and ignorance, you know. That's just my thoughts on that, you know. So now that we got it squared away that no, I'm not perfect. I never thought I was. And yes, I actually tried to take my life and it didn't work. I actually asked for help one time because at that moment I realized what I had done. Um, yeah, that's stupid. But I was so sad. But then I had to think to myself, what if my kids need me? I mean, they might not at the time, but if I had taken my life, I wouldn't have been here all the times they did need me. Or even if my granddaughters wanted to call me, it's like, who would they call? Nobody, you know. So just with that, it's like, just that. Even if my son were to contact me, like one did, and tell me his lack of appreciation for me or whatever. Um, Maybe that's something he needed to say in his life. God knows, you know, and how he truly feels. That's cool. Whatever. I think personally, I think it's drugs and alcohol that would make either one of my sons treat me how they should treat the people that, well, how they shouldn't treat anybody actually, but to take it out on the people that had actually done the rotten shit to them, not the person that never would, you know. But maybe it's just something some people got to get out of their system, and I'm available, and there you go. I'm the one that got the brunt end of it, you know. I don't know. But yeah, I had my youngest one say some really rotten shit to me. But then I don't like him very much anyway, so maybe the feeling's mutual. I don't know. It's probably good. So you said that, and that's how I feel about you. So there you go. People that are so different in the world, you know. Weird thing is, while in raising my sons, I knew, someday you're gonna go have your families or do what you're doing in your life, and I wasn't needy like that. They were more needy of me, or not even dependent, but more in a usurary way, like to use me, you know, utilize me, um, or not. I think there's times we actually enjoyed each other's company, you know, but what I'm saying is, I guess, I don't know. I'm just concerned about people that are not feeling well through this holiday season, and I know a lot of my friends too are going through some hellacious times. And that brings to mind, I have a friend, acquaintance on Facebook on in Doug's group, and he believes in the goddess, not God. And he says, why would I pray to a God that doesn't care about me? I just give him a hug thing, care, you know. I have no words. He's going to believe what he's going to believe. I know, like for me, for instance, I carry the Christ Spirit, and I know the Spirit of God works through men and women. I think, however, they praise God, if they're truly praising God. But then I have my doubts about some people. But this person, it seems a little different. It seems like he was a man of faith, and then something happened, and then the goddess worship that the Vatican's trying to push, the Baphomet shit. I heard some shit like the woman's energy is from hell. Stuff like hell it is. The woman is the heaven. And if you look at the warring nature of men, that should tell you all you need to know right there. Whose energy came from where. But, you know. But things are a little different on this planet nowadays. Women do not act like a female should. So how could I explain or even defend myself in the face of all the sluts in the world that make real women look real horrible, you know? And they do, you know? It's like, yeah, how could I prove that the woman's energy came from heaven in this in hell? You know, how would you do that? You know, it all comes from God regardless. You know, but I don't know. Imagine that the woman's energy comes from hell. Yeah, right. If that were the case, there'd be no mothers. There's the bottom line on that one. Because females, at least it used to be like that, would grow up thinking about being moms and getting married and that type of thing, even when they're little, their aspirations. Things have changed, granted, but I'm just saying initially, if that energy had came from hell, there would be no children on this planet. And there's the proof just in that alone. So if you ever hear any of these people out there saying that the woman's energy comes from hell, that is not true. So we know who it comes from. I think somebody's been waiting for me to comment on that. And there's a few other things they're waiting on me to comment on. Don't hold your breath. There's some things that I'll never talk about, and you'll never hear me even comment on it because I'm not going to waste my time in an empty argument or trying to like prove myself as a good woman to somebody that just doesn't fucking get it. You don't get it or you don't care. One of the two. Don't know. I could say don't care, but I do care. But not enough to get involved in conversations that would go nowhere. Like that woman energy thing, I could go over on the person's videos that are talking that kind of and say, look, but by me saying look would just make me look like a combative lunatic. Like, okay, so you go ahead and teach thousands of people that that's what this is, and that the mother of all creation was some stupid, just a slut. Our forefathers, yep, they were low lives. God made them imperfect, and we all suck. You know, right? So, there's no arguing with stupid. Sometimes you just gotta let stupid do its own thing, and that's all we can do, you know. So that's where I'm with that, you know. But every time I hear something like that, it's like, yeah, me fighting about it would just prove that they were right. So we'll just let Satan do what Satan's gonna do and deal with the outcomes, because everything they will have to pay for it no matter what they're doing. That's stupid. It's their shame that they're going to have to live with. So if they can't hear the spirit of the goodness talking to them, well, then maybe it's time that that spirit up and not even talk to their hearts and let them wing it on their own. So when they're lying and saying God told them to do this or that, well, then you know who they're serving, because the Christ Spirit did no such thing. So when you hear that shit, yeah, if you know what I mean. I'm not aware of too many things. I know what I know. If you know what I mean, do ya? Philosophy is a smile on a dog, I think, if you know that song. I still got the song Mr. Ed in my head. I was singing that this morning, so I'm kind of a little in a kind of a hilarious mood, sorta. Anyway. Yeah, I get a kick out of these people. Yeah, God told me to do this. God told me to do that, and you're lying out of your teeth, and we all know it. But some people are just like entertained with all that, or pacified, or whatever. I have no clue. It just gets old. Oh, the Lord guided me. Oh, why? Because you don't have a brain of your own? Yeah, the spirit guides us, but it's a little different than that, you know. Like, I heard somebody, and the Lord told me, pick that up. And I'm like, well, you know, it's like I was walking up my driveway here a couple months ago, and I did feel compelled to look on the ground. I had been looking up at the sky all the way up my driveway. And then I just felt like I should look down, and I found this great big bolt that fell out of part of our tractor that they didn't fix the right way. And that was a little odd, but I didn't feel like anybody actually told me something. That was a feeling, you know, so you can't really put feelings into words, you know, that type of thing. But if people are talking to somebody in their head, I'm pretty sure it's not the same spirit that guides me. I'm just saying, I don't feel like it is. So, anyway, because and that guy who believes in the woman um, goddess is what was I going to say about him? He something. I lost it. It was there, but whatever. Whatever. Had a few that's what it was. I had sent around, even if you're doing it alone, praise God by yourself, you know, and it showed a classroom of children and a little kid just sitting there saying grace before he ate his meal, you know. Well, I try to remember to tell God thank you, and when I don't, to remind me to be thankful of the things that I have that are good in my life, you know. And that's how I do that. But some people, um, I don't know if they've ever said grace before a meal in their whole life. Or if they did, why didn't you stop? Don't you know that if your food is blessed, that you digest it better? It's a true story. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I used to make people say grace. Then one day I just stopped. It's like you're just not really thankful for anything anyway, and I am wasting my time, you know. When I was a little kid, they could use the excuse, well, you've been naughty or you were kind of a stupid little kid, so, like, you're not going to be our guiding light. But in the end of it all, I found out I actually was their guiding light, and they were trying to take me away, or I should say, she tried to take me away from who I was meant to be. Uh, Showing people the faith and love in my heart, you know, that they couldn't take it out of me, even if they tried. All the people who tried their various different tactics, man, Satan sent one right after another, right after another, right after another, constant barrage of people stepping up to the plate and getting knocked down. But it didn't stop them, you know. It seems like it hasn't ceased to exist in that way, but like they haven't ceased and desist or deceased, but you know, they're still doing what they're doing. It's just not as they're not they're not able to do it as well as they used to. because God's got more control over it now. And that's why I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing a lot more of the Spirit of God on this planet. And Doug and I were talking this morning. He thinks so too. Things are going to get worse before they're going to get better, but they will be better someday. Soon. Sooner than later. I guess we'll all just have to wait and see, and there's nothing we can do about it, but yeah. Then I saw another friend who had struggles with depression and loneliness, had found himself a friend, a girlfriend, and so I'm kind of glad he doesn't have to be alone on the holidays. I watched him suffering without his children in his life and that type of thing. That's a hard thing. For most people, it's a hard thing, I would say. Not everybody's the same, and you never know, but yeah, it's not natural. I do know that much. Families aren't meant to be separated and torn apart the way they are, you know? And I think in a lot of ways, it's easy to blame women on this planet. I'm not just sticking up for the women because there's some women that do some really bad stuff. But the leadership of men and the what we're taught when we're younger and the steps and the measures we have to take to unlearn the things that they had instilled in us or hoped to have instilled in us so we would not surpass them, you know. I think all of us hope that our children will surpass us in intelligence and love and human compassion, all the good things in the world. If whatever your values are, whatever you hold close to you, you know, that our children would surpass us with our good traits. I think that would be any parent's hope for their child, a normal parent, that is. I know parents that intentionally do things to their children so they won't excel. I have a big problem with people like that. I really do. Unbelievably, I really do. I can't believe people are so stupid like that they would want their child to fail in any way just so that child doesn't look better than the parent. It's like, what is wrong with you? It's like, just don't get it. Like they look at them like they're just a separate human being and no blood of theirs at all. Like they're not a part of them. And it's like, or that they're too much a part of them, like they actually are like conjoined twins or something. No, you're not. That's your kid. That's a gift from God. You're not your child, and your child is not you. That type of thing. But some people actually think like they have ownership over their child enough so that they could use that child to masturbate with, little freaky things like that. Just to destroy the child, not to actually gratify themselves, gratify Satan. And I really didn't understand at a young person, as a young person at all, I didn't understand um, that that actually went on in this world more than people realize. It's like, or even with the thoughts or the language around their kids. I'm not just talking like the F bomb or whatever. I'm talking about conversations that little people should never even be around, that adults think nothing about it, or even different music or movies or whatever it is, the immorality that's acceptable around children. I'm appalled at this shit, you know? I always have been. I used to get embarrassed at my parents when I was a little kid because I knew something they didn't. It's like, mm, anyway. So that's probably about all that's on my mind today, is just feeling bad for people that are alone this holiday season, or even if they're not alone, things aren't going so well and it makes it doubly hard. So please check out that ancient China, how they hide the truth. Yeah, that's who they are. Like I told you, that's, if you would think of a Jewish Chinaman, but yeah, believe it. It's the same bloodline. If you want to say Jewish, Jewish wasn't even in the scriptures, and Israel was talking about the house of Israel and Jacob being called O Israel, and in reference to the Christ spirit, um, has nothing to do with Israelites. That was all. The proof is in the chronology and following the bloodlines and understanding um, these people that elevate themselves above other people. It's still the retarded people that first off would even want to have somebody as a slave, and secondly to think that they're so divine that they would be able to counsel me in any way above anybody else, or that I don't have that within myself, that they have some kind of esoteric teaching or not gnostic knowing that I don't know, or that you don't know, that's within our hearts. All these weirdos out there that think they're world leaders or whatever they think they are they're you're mentally fucking ill, don't you get it? And I'll never change my mind on that. I mean, yeah, if you have a profession and you've studied something for 20, 30 years and I know absolutely nothing about it, you could pique my interest. I might learn something, yeah, you know. But dealing with matters of the heart or even the mind or the flesh, I don't know, whatever. Like, what gives somebody, I'll just throw out like a dipshit. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. What is she, like 20? No, she's like what, 30, 35, 40, somewhere in there. What a fucking ditz. Give me a break. You call this thing a world leader? Or Greta Thunberg. Get the fuck out of here with your bullshit. I mean, in 1976, on the cover of Time magazine, or it might have been 74, they were telling us about how the world was going to freeze over. That's what the scientists said back then. You can look it up. It was called the impending ice age, And now look what they're doing. It's like, make up your goddamn mind, scientists. You know, whatever. You can come to Minnesota and you can try and tell me about what's warming up. You would change your mind. In fact, I've said it before. Anybody that believes in this shit should go up on the northwest coast and stand by the ocean with no jacket on and tell me how toasty you feel up in there. Because there's absolutely no sign of it aside from El Niños and La Niñas that are perfectly natural climate changes that happen every so often um, and transition in one to the next. It's a constant thing, just like the lava around the world or the jet streams, or it's something that happens continuously, and it always will. They're trying their best to destroy this world, but the world's still too big and the core's still too impenetrable. Wow, I spit that one out. That it's still not as bad as they want people to believe it is. So, and Mother Earth will be just fine, even with their retarded shit. And I can't wait for the day where there's either peace on this earth or all these tyrants are behind bars, or maybe that's what it will take. They all need a jail cell. Next time you reach into your wallet and pay your taxes, just remember that there's a group of people on this planet that don't care if you or your offsprings live or die and what they have to do to make their offsprings okay in the future. They'll do anything and everything to secure their future, including running you or I or our children over. And that's the way they operate. They don't care. If anybody thinks that they do, well, there's no help. There's no hope for you if you think that any world leader gives a hoot about what they would call the lay person or the goy or whatever, you know. Or I'd like to hear somebody call me that to my face. Just once. One time. That's all it would take. All right, everybody. I was going to shut up here a little bit ago. I'm going to get this uploaded and have a really good night or day wherever you're at. Peace from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.